Mr. Bakoyannis, thank you very much for this interview and for being here in Euronews Albania.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Okay. What is the purpose of your visit here in Tirana?
Well, I received a very kind invitation from my friend, the mayor. But to be honest, I was very much looking forward to the opportunity to come to Tirana. There is so much that unites our two peoples. There is so much that actually brings us together.
Yes.
And it's important that us, city officials, build bottom-up, positive agendas that strengthen our relationship.
Have you visited Tirana before? Is the first time or no? And how does it look?
I was actually here, I think, over 10 years ago. It's a different city. Mm-hmm. I was struck by the dynamism, by the vibrant character of the city. Every year, yes, something changes. And I was, to be perfectly transparent, also very much impressed by the very good work of my friend the mayor. I think it's a city that's transforming, that's being reborn. There's a lot of optimism, a lot of justifiable optimism in Tirana.
You spoke before about agenda. What kind of agenda?
Well, there's a lot that we can actually do together. Let me give you some examples.
Yes.
Number one, we can exchange good practices and good ideas, especially when it comes to battling COVID and actually securing public health. Number two, we can exchange good practices and ideas on a number of issues when it comes to the infrastructure and the services, digital services. In Greece, in Athens, we're undergoing a digital transition as we speak. The environment. In Athens, in Greece, we are undergoing a green transition. And at the same time, however, we have...
How can this happen, all this?
Well, the question is if we want to remain within the sphere of theory or we want to move to the sphere of praxis. That's completely up to us. There's so much that we can learn from each other. I mentioned digital services a bit earlier. I know you have Albania, which has been working quite well. In Greece, there is literally a revolution that's taken place. Only in the city of Athens, we have a platform called e-services, where over 100 services are offered to the citizens. So once upon a time, one had to come and wait in queue to get their job done. Now, everything happens very quickly, automatically, over the internet. We're talking about platforms we can exchange. It's completely
the two countries, Albania and Greece, have they the will to do that?
Well, yeah, I think there is a will, there is a political will, and certainly there is a political will when it comes to the two cities. That's why I was very careful in my choice of wording. I spoke about bottom-up cooperation. It's what brings our societies and our peoples together. Don't forget all these human success stories. Mm-hmm. All those Albanians who have actually come to Greece, have studied in Greece, in Athens, in Thessaloniki, or have worked in Greece,
yes,
and are now back in Albania, back in Tirana. I mean, these stars are actually, you know, the best ambassadors that we could hope for. Yesterday, I had lunch with a number of them, people who are in the arts, in business, in politics, young, self-made people. Young people who actually want to leave behind, you know, the ghosts of the past and move forward to a better, a brighter, a European future that actually brings us all together.
Let's talk about the Hellenic Park. Why was given this name and why you invest there? Did you invest there?
Well, it was a great initiative undertaken by our embassy. I should say here that we are very fortunate and we are very proud to have a wonderful ambassador in Tirana. And it was an initiative that was actually very quickly supported by the Greek business community. Because for us, it was just another step, another tangible step, another visible step to reconfirm our aspirations for our relationship. It's 200 years from the Greek Revolution. We celebrate the Greek Revolution. We celebrate the values of the Greek Revolution, prosperity, progress, democracy, justice, peace, and we want to share these values with our friends and neighbors.
And will be other investments here?
Well, I hope there will be more and more, especially as time progresses. I mean, the good news is that it seems to be that we are all returning to some kind of normalcy after COVID. So the borders are, as you know, already reopening. So there's just a question of time that we're going to see more and more.
In which areas this collaboration can expand
Let
further?
me give you an example.
Yes.
Which is actually my favorite example.
Yes.
As you may know, next year, Tirana will be the capital of youth. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be the first capital of youth post-pandemic, or at least in the period when we have learned to live with COVID. Now, this is a window of opportunity for us, both for Tirana and for Athens. There's so much that we can do. We can invest in culture, we can invest in education. We had a wonderful discussion yesterday with the mayor, a very substantial discussion. I'm looking forward to welcoming him in Athens in the autumn, where we'll be able to continue this discussion, and our teams will work together to see how we can actually invest in the next generation. I mean, that's what it's all about, after all, isn't it?
You mentioned culture. What kind of activities or exchanges, cultural exchanges between two countries?
We could do anything. As you may know, there's actually, just last night, there was a documentary on Keros, mm-hmm. In Dyrrhachio, yes. With the same logic. We have orchestras, we have music events, we have arts. We can actually bring this together and exchange such visits in our two cities. I mean, something that's not that difficult, actually, at the end of the day. It's a question of our willingness and our decisiveness.
Let's talk about the relation between two countries, not just between Tirana and Athens, but Albania and Greece. How would you assess or evaluate this relationship between two countries that we have to accept there have been, I mean, often friction between them?
Yes, but I think we will have to think about tomorrow rather than get caught in yesterday. I mean, there is an overriding goal, there is an overriding aim. We all want to be together in the European family. We want the Greek flag, the Albanian flag, and the European flag to stand next to each other, tall, high, with pride. So I think we all have to work towards this goal.
What do you think about the Albanian path towards European Union?
Well, as you know, Greece supports the Albanian path towards the European Union. We've been very, very clear from the very first day. We fully understand, because we have undergone through the same process, that is actually a deeply transformative process, especially when it comes to democracy, especially when it comes to human rights, especially when it comes to the rights of minorities. And we respect this process very much, because we all know that we can actually be better at the end of the day. I think that's the whole point of the European journey, since it started in the 1950s up to now. It is, after all, you know, this amazing historic experiment of peace and prosperity.
You are a young politician. Do you think that Albanian and Greek young politicians can overcome this friction, this past friction?
But that's why I'm here. I very much believe that we can, and I very much believe that we should. But I should say, once again, I don't feel that we are alone in this. There is this young generation, a young generation that wants to live, that wants to succeed, that wants to prosper. And it's this young generation who should be our natural interlocutors and our natural allies moving forward, not only in Albania, but in the whole region.
Let's talk about the Albanian community in Greece. How their role or their integration has changed in Greek society over these years?
Well, you're talking about Athenians, real Athenians. Much as I am an Athenian, they are Athenians. Their children grew up with our children. They go to school with our children. Many of them go to the Greek army with our children. They work together. There is no difference anymore. This community is now a big part of who we are. And we are very, very proud of this community, much like we are very, very proud of the whole of Athens.
In this conversation between us, you speak about a revolutionary in politics. How do you imagine politics after a year?
You know what? I'm not really good with big words. So I'm not sure whether I would actually use the word revolution. Because at the end of the day, local government, it's about real solutions to real problems. And that's, the attraction of local government is actually being useful, is actually not just talking, but doing. It's about creating cross-party coalitions. It's about being close to the people, within the people. It's about being truthful and transparent. So this, I think, is it's not really a new model of politics, but it is certainly the right model of politics, whether in Greece or in Albania or anywhere else in the world.
What is the similarity between you and Mr. Velia, mayor of Tirana? Some people say that you have some similarities.
Well, that's a long discussion. I can say that I'm very proud that he's my friend. I must say that I was truly struck and impressed by the good work that he has done. But I think that what actually stayed with me and what has stayed with me is the enthusiasm, the caring, the love about what he does. It's not just the work, it's the people themselves.
And you think that the young politician will make it possible to overcome, the mentality that existed today?
Clearly. I think that there's a new generation. There's a new generation in Greece. Our government is reform-minded. It's open. Our Prime Minister is on the right side of history. He has made a number of tough calls in these 2 years. He has handled a number of crises, but he has done so with great success. Greece, after a long economic and financial crisis, is back with a newly found sense of optimism and a newly found sense of self-confidence. So yes, clearly, I think we can hope for a brighter future.
In your opinion, what the politicians that are here in Albania or in region should change in the way of making politics?
Well, it's not up to me to wave, the finger to anyone. I would never do that, especially for people who...
Yes, but you are a flag of young politicians.
Well, I can say that what we do. Let me give you an example. When it came to the pandemic, what did Greece do and what did our government do and what did our Prime Minister do? He didn't go into the old kind of politicking. On the contrary, he listened to experts. He put facts, figures, transparency and truth over partisanship and populism. As a result, literally thousands, tens of thousands of lives were saved. He made the right decisions, he made the tough calls. At the same time, he was very, very clear on the need to actually support the economy, to actually keep jobs, to actually make sure that when the time comes for us to reopen, we will reopen successfully. And this actually shows the way for decision-making, I think, not only in Greece, but also in the region or across Europe or even the world. You saw the difference. Countries that were very clear, very focused, very organized, very deliberate, had a much better success than countries that, were more in the old way of doing things. And you're also going to see the difference, I think, in the next few months and the next few years, because how we actually bounce back from COVID in terms of the economy and society will very much depend on how we responded to COVID during the pandemic.
Yes, but how do you assess the collaboration about the pandemic?
The collaboration on a number of levels.
Was the right way?
The collaboration in terms of the European Union, I think, has been successful. We had some delays at the beginning of the year, as you may remember, with vaccines. But now the good news is that we're moving forward with vaccinations. We see this in Greece. Vaccinations are up. We vaccinate.
And the next visit here in Tirana, when will be?
Hopefully soon. I'm looking forward to welcoming the mayor in Athens. And then we'll make plans for our next visit to Tirana.
Mr. Bakoyannis, thank you very, very much for this interview. It was a pleasure, a great pleasure.
It was a pleasure for me as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.